What if I told you that the first hour after you wake up could quietly determine whether you stay broke or eventually build real wealth? Not your degree, not your connections, not even how hard you work, just your morning routine. Every day, millions of people wake up and unknowingly make a few small decisions that slowly shape their future. And the scary part is, they don't even realize it's happening. Today, we're going to follow two people with the same job, same city, and the same 24 hours, but completely different mornings. And by the end of this story, you might never look at your mornings the same way again.
Here's what makes this story interesting. The difference between these two people isn't intelligence, luck, or even opportunity. In fact, at the beginning, their lives look almost identical. But hidden inside their mornings are a few small habits that slowly push their lives in completely different directions. One habit quietly drains your focus, energy, and money over time. The other builds momentum almost every day. And most people repeat the first one every single morning without realizing it. In a moment, you'll see exactly what that habit is. Let's start with two people. First, meet Jake. Jake is 29 years old and lives in a mid-sized American city. He works a typical 9-to-5 office job in customer support. The pay is decent, but by the time rent, groceries, gas, and bills are paid, there's never much left over. Most months feel the same. Jake tells himself he'll start saving money, maybe learn a new skill, maybe even start a side hustle someday. But somehow the weeks move fast, the weekends disappear, and Monday always shows up again before he's ready. He's not lazy. In fact, Jake works hard, but he constantly feels like life is happening to him, not for him. Now meet Alex. Alex is also 29. He lives just 10 minutes away from Jake in the same city. They even graduated from similar colleges and started their careers around the same time. But lately, something about Alex's life is starting to look different. He still has a full-time job, but he's also building a small online business on the side. He's learning about investing, and slowly his income streams are starting to grow. What's strange is that Alex didn't start with more money, better connections, or some secret advantage. The real difference between Jake and Alex begins somewhere most people never think to look: their mornings. Let's take a closer look at Jake's typical morning. His alarm goes off at 7:30 a.m. The first thing he feels isn't motivation, it's pressure. Work starts soon, and he already feels like he doesn't have enough time. Without even thinking, Jake reaches for his phone on the nightstand. Just a quick check. Instagram notifications, a few TikTok videos, maybe a couple YouTube shorts. 5 minutes turns into 10, 10 turns into 20. Before he realizes it, half an hour is gone. Now Jake's rushing. He jumps out of bed, skips breakfast, throws on whatever clothes are nearby, and rushes out the door with barely enough time to make it to work. His mind is already flooded with information: random videos, other people's lives, breaking news, emails, messages, and the day hasn't even started yet. By the time he gets in his car, Jake already feels behind, stressed, and mentally scattered. Meanwhile, only a few blocks away, Alex's alarm is about to go off. And what happens next in Alex's morning will quietly change the direction of his entire life. At first, the difference between Jake and Alex doesn't seem dramatic. Both of them work full-time jobs. Both deal with deadlines, bills, and the same everyday pressures of adult life. But as the weeks turn into months, a subtle gap begins to appear. Jake's mornings keep starting the same way, rushing, reacting, and trying to catch up with a world that already feels ahead of him. By the time he arrives at work, his mind is cluttered with notifications, social media, and other people's priorities. So when opportunities appear, learning a new skill, improving his finances, starting something on the side, Jake often feels too tired or distracted to pursue them. Alex's mornings, however, are different. Because before the noise of the day begins, Alex has already invested time in himself. He's planned his priorities, cleared his mind, and focused on the one task that moves his life forward. And that small shift creates something powerful, momentum. While Jake spends most of his day reacting to life, Alex slowly begins directing his own path, one intentional morning at a time. Now, let's fast forward 5 years. Jake's life hasn't collapsed. From the outside, things look normal. He still works the same job, still wakes up at the last minute most mornings, and still feels like he's constantly trying to catch up. Every year, he promises himself things will change. He'll start saving more, learn new skills, maybe build something on the side. But somehow, the days keep slipping by before those plans ever become real. Alex's life, on the other hand, looks very different. That small side project he worked on during his focused mornings slowly grew into a real business. His investments began compounding, opportunities started appearing, connections, partnerships, new ideas, and suddenly people around him began saying the same thing. Man, Alex got lucky. But they never saw the quiet truth. The difference didn't start with a big break. It started with hundreds of small mornings no one was watching. But here's the part that surprises most people. Alex didn't grow up with perfect habits. In fact, 5 years earlier, his mornings looked almost exactly like Jake's. Late alarms, endless scrolling, rushing out the door feeling stressed and unprepared. For a long time, he believed the same thing many people believe, that success came from talent, connections, or luck. Then one day, he came across a simple idea that stuck with him. The way you start your morning quietly shapes the way you live your life. So Alex didn't try to change everything at once. Instead, he made one small decision. Tomorrow morning, he would do one thing differently. And that single change slowly turned into a routine that changed everything. The truth is, most life changes don't happen in one dramatic moment. They happen quietly, through small decisions repeated every day. Alex didn't suddenly become successful overnight. His life shifted because he began treating his mornings differently. Instead of letting the world immediately demand his attention, he created a short window of time that belonged only to him. Time to think, time to plan, time to work on something that could improve his future. Those small actions didn't feel powerful in the moment. Some mornings were messy. Some days he almost quit. But over time, those tiny routines built something bigger: clarity, discipline, and momentum. Meanwhile, Jake's mornings stayed the same, and so did most of his results. Because while big opportunities can change a life once, daily habits quietly shape it every single day. So what's the real lesson here? It's not that waking up at 5 a.m. automatically makes someone rich, and it's not that one perfect routine will magically change your life overnight. The real lesson is much simpler. How you start your day often determines how you live your day. When your morning begins with distraction, stress, and reacting to everything around you, it becomes much harder to stay focused on what truly matters. But when your morning begins with intention, even if it's just 20 or 30 quiet minutes, you give yourself something powerful: control. Control over your attention, control over your priorities, control over the direction of your life. Because the gap between where people are today and where they want to be tomorrow rarely comes from one huge decision. Most of the time, it comes from hundreds of small mornings stacked together over time.